All right, we are recording. Hi, welcome everyone to this session of English 204. Today we're going to be working on our research questions, and I cannot stress enough how important it is to nail this assignment. And even though it is just one question, the importance lies in getting it right. Because it'll make your lives easier. Once you get the research question right, everything else flows. And the reason is because if you ask the right question with the right controlling ideas, with the right topic, with the right everything, you will be able to provide an answer to this question that is accurate and that is spot on, that is not too broad, not too narrow, and that will facilitate your work on the research paper. By the way, just a reminder, I'm going to do that all the time throughout the semester. The stuff that you learn in this course is not just for this course. You can apply it every time you are writing a research question, especially if your research question is in the social sciences more broadly, rather than in the natural sciences or in the humanities. However, because we are working on something that we cannot do 1 second, let me just, I can't speak and I can't multitask. So I'm admitting people as I speak. Because we're not going to be doing primary research, which means that you're not going to be in a lab doing an experiment. You're not going to be in the field and interviewing people and observing people and doing ethnographic studies. You're not going to be doing primary research. You're going to be doing sort of like an extended literature review, which is super important for you in whatever discipline or domain you're in. We're going to have to write a research question that has a frame that touches upon social science in a sense. So I'm talking here about, for example, if you are dealing with nutrition, if you are a nutrition major, you're writing a paper that is not going to be using an experiment in a lab, but rather maybe the psychological effects of following a particular diet. Or if you are writing a biology piece, you're looking at the economic factors or the psychological factors or the sociological factors of whatever you're studying, right? So if you follow me, if you're following what I'm saying and you have absolutely no questions, we will go ahead and take a look at the thesis statements. Any questions? You can always raise your hand. You can always unmute yourselves and then ask. Any questions? Anything unclear so far? Great. Okay. So let us take a look at the research questions that we already have. Please, please, please do not take this personally as in, oh, I messed this up or I didn't do a good job with this. This is not something personal. This is about the work that we are doing. We're fine-tuning it. We're trying to do a very good job. We're trying to make your lives easier. So I am not working against you here. Remember, I am not grading you. I am helping you see how to fix this, whatever the assignment is, whether now or later in the course. I am working with you, not against you. I am not the scary big bad wolf here trying to devour you and spit you out and say, haha, I got my students, I did the bad job and I pointed it out. No, I'm working with you to improve your writing, to improve your research skills, etc. So anything that I say, don't take it personally. Take it as if this is, so I am your editor, right? And I'm working with you here on improving your writing. Okay, I'm going to start with the first one. This is, so Zohair, your major is business. Is Zohair still with us? Has he joined? Yes, Zohair is here. Okay.
Yes.
So your topic is children and video games. Okay, and your question is, what are the effects of violent video games on children? The problem is that, how...
I think I have to decide age range. Do you mean?
Yes. So first of all, if you can specify the age range of children, and if you can specify, for example, children in Lebanon. Let me tell you why we're saying in Lebanon. You're not going to be finding any research that speaks about children in Lebanon, video gaming in Lebanon. Maybe one or two articles, okay? However, especially published articles in renowned journals, etc., etc. But the reason I want you to focus on children in Lebanon is for two reasons. Very important reasons. Number one, when it comes to research in our country, we are a barren land. ما في شيء. We are in the dark ages when it comes to research. Anybody who does research on anything becomes an expert. That's number one. We really need to have research in our fields, in Lebanon, about Lebanon. Second of all, I presume, Zuhair, you are a gamer, right? Or at least you like gaming, or you've tried gaming.
Yeah.
Great. You are an insider. You have insight into the gaming world of children in Lebanon more than anybody else. If you're going to be talking about the US, just because there is research in the US that you can build on, I'm going to doubt everything you say because, number one, you're not living there right now. You're not there. Are you there? No?
No.
Great. So you're not there. Second of all, you don't know really the particulars of what goes on. There are so many social, economic, psychological, cultural, linguistic factors that affect the people that we're studying, the group of people that we are studying, that you are unaware of, or you might miss. Versus in Lebanon, by the mere fact that you are in Lebanon, a Lebanese, presumably, a gamer who has played games, who knows firsthand the effects, you are by default an expert. Do you get it? Awesome.
Yes.
I want everyone to tell me, do you understand? Am I making any sense here to you? I hope so.
Yes.
That would be very bad. Okay, so two reasons. Number one, we don't have research in the Arab world. We really need to be researching ourselves. Nobody can research us better than we do ourselves. Number two, by the mere fact that you are here, you are an insider, you are somebody who is involved in this, you have a certain angle to the project that nobody else has. Now, this leads me to another point, which is an insider's perspective versus an outsider's perspective. So an insider's perspective is different, right? So you are an insider, you're part of the group. If somebody has the answer, unmute yourself. So as an insider, what can you talk about your project that's an outsider cannot? What are the benefits of being an insider?
Knowing.
Anybody, go ahead.
Knowing the culture.
Knowing the
better.
Knowing the culture better. Yes, excellent. What else?
Maybe knowing of the games.
Sorry?
We've been through experience of the Lebanese culture and the generation and everything.
Yes, for sure. So you are on the inside. There are things that you see, there are nuances that you notice that nobody else knows. However, what are the disadvantages of writing from an insider's perspective? Can you tell me what the advantages might be?
Being biased.
Being biased. Bias is a very important point. Why? Because you might be emotionally too invested in whatever you are writing about, right? So you might be a bit too emotionally involved. And as a researcher, you need to distance yourself from this and be as objective as possible and limit bias. So this is a very good point. So if you are an outsider writing about a topic, the advantages are that you are objective. That there is this distance between you and whomever you're studying.
Yes.
A
The
lot-
writer would be more credible.
Yeah. People, when they talk, sometimes, so anthropologists a long time ago used to think that, you know, it's best if you study a group of people from the outside, you know, you observe them, etc. And then they discovered, no, it doesn't work that way. You need sometimes someone on the inside to trust the person who's conducting the research and talk more openly about it. Sometimes it works to be on the inside, sometimes it works to be on the outside. Let me give you an example. If you are a woman conducting research on women in Lebanon, it depends on the topic. Sometimes the topic, they might be uncomfortable. If you are an outsider, they might be uncomfortable talking to you about intimate details. If you are an outsider, sometimes they might be uncomfortable talking to you about intimate details if you are an insider, for fear of social backlash, for fear of being exposed, etc., etc. So a while ago, there was a group of, there was this project that was going on at AB. I think it's still going on, where they are dealing with underage marriages at Syrian refugee camps in Lebanon. They wanted to train the women in sexual health and raising awareness about underage marriages, etc., etc. And then they decided that the best approach would be to train women from inside the community to raise awareness. Okay? Did it work? Yes, it worked, because they were trained. And then these women felt much more comfortable disclosing information and listening to these women who spoke their language, spoke with their accent, came from a similar social cultural background as these little girls who were getting married off before they even turned 18. They were getting married at the age of 11, 12, 13. It's a very sad situation. But here, notice, you know, they had to bring trainers from the inside. Now, the researchers who were writing the research, they were on the outside. Granted, many of them were Lebanese, but still they were outsiders. Do you get the point?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as I'm speaking, Zuhair, I'm moving on to the second one, Mark, but what I want you to do is go to the Google Doc and fix that, okay?
Oh, I will, of course.
Great. Moving on. So the second question, I don't think Mark is with us, right? Yeah, Mark is here. Mark
Yeah,
is...
I'm here, Miss.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So your topic is feminism and international political economy. So you're saying seeing that feminist theories are becoming more relevant in explaining global metrics. What have been the feminist theory contributions on specifically international political economy? Let me tell you something. This is an awesome research question, but even for a dissertation, it is still too big. Mainly because you will be tackling on a little bit too much. I want you to find a vein, okay? A vein to see how feminist theory contributes to international political economy, something in international political economy that is much more specific. Those are two broad umbrellas. You're talking a theory and you're talking international political economy. So very, very broad, two things used to be one to explain the other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you think you will limit this? Because I am not an economist and my knowledge in economics is very limited. Do you know how to fix this?
I tried, but I think I will dismiss the feminist thing, and I don't know yet.
Rethink it, and then think that the question should be, okay, what have been the feminist theory? Try to write the answer to the question about the contributions. So try to write the answer to the question, what have been the feminist theory contributions on specifically international political economy? If you can write the answer in one,
Yes, I don't think that the answer will be this broad. So I think I'll.
that's why I'm saying write the answer
Mhm.
by stating as simple and as simple as saying the feminist theory contributions on international political economy have been 1, 2, and 3. Those 1, 2, and 3 are the different arguments that you will be. So even if there have been 3 or 4 contributions, focus on only 3, or maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 contributions. I don't know how many
Okay.
contributions have been. Just focus on 3, the 3 most important contributions. Okay?
Deal.
And give it another shot. Anybody here in economics, by the way? Or are you the only person?
I think I'm the only person.
Okay, awesome. Okay, moving on. Danny is not with us. Okay, Danny says, how can computing resources led by scientists achieve a high level of accuracy for scientific purposes? My issue with that is that it is not argumentative. Okay, so not argumentative enough. And the reason why I'm saying everything under the sun is argumentative, by the way. Everything, in my opinion, everything under the sun can be debated unless it's like a fact set in stone, right? Because when you're researching, for example, anything, like even go to Google and Google Earth is flat. We'll talk more about this in other sessions. Earth is flat. You'll find people who have written articles upon articles on how Earth is flat. Of course, we know that it is a fact that Earth is round, but come to think of it, how many of us have actually seen Earth with our 2 eyes from outer space? So we rely on scientists and experts and everybody else to tell us the truth, right? And the problem is that distinguishing fact from opinion is something very, very difficult and is becoming even more difficult with time. Okay, moving on. Celine, I know, is Celine here? No, I know Celine's there. Yes, hi Celine. Okay, by the way, how come you're not collaborating with somebody else who's in biology?
I have too much pressure this semester, and I would be afraid that I would hinder the other person. Like in case I'm late with an assignment or something, بيكون بس الحق علي, and I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can always like determine what you can be working on at any point. Like, for example, I have this coming up, so this assignment might be a little bit more challenging for me to complete. And then, of course, you know, the assignments become smaller for you because you would be doing less. So, you get what I'm saying? So you will be doing less, which means that you will have a chance to finish the assignment quicker if you're working with somebody, or at least begin it and then they finish it, etc. Okay, how does the current pandemic impact food security in the United States? Why the US?
Because بصراحة, I don't think I can tackle this subject in Lebanon.
Yeah, you're not going to find the answers, and you're going to find very little answers even in the US, because currently all the research on COVID-19 have been articles from a medical perspective much more than economic and other perspectives. And your frame is related to food security, which is which touches upon the frame is more in the social sciences, so you might not find articles right now because of the fact that it's still a very, very new subject. It's very new, and we still cannot really assess what the impact is going to be. Let me tell you,
What the impact is going to be, fine, I understand what you mean, but there are some articles already about how being in like quarantine for 6 months has affected the food security in the States. So I don't know. If you think that it's not like I can't find enough information, I'll come up with another research question. Yeah.
What I want you to do is consider Lebanon, even if your research is going to be more of a hypothetical kind of research rather than something that's supported with solid facts, because you will be relying on articles from the past, looking historically at pandemics and how they have affected food security around the world. Because this is sometimes what people rely on, is they look at history and try to predict the future. Okay, that's one way. Another thing is that you can always compare. So you use a particular source to advance or forward information about you. It might not mention Lebanon, and in your conclusion, you will say, because of the little research that's available, the suggestions is that more research be conducted in this area, in particular about this and that, in relation to Lebanon. So that would be it. But especially if you are under so much pressure this semester, I highly recommend that you collaborate.
Okay, I'll think about it. But what you're suggesting, يعني, that I would take like past pandemics or that happened in the world and try to find something like in the Arab world and compare it and try to
not the
like
Arab world, I'm saying Lebanon, right? I'm saying
okay,
Lebanon,
but
I'm saying don't cross the bridge right now. We'll wait until we get to it. I will show you how you do that, right?
okay. Okay.
Because in Lebanon right now, it's not about just the pandemic.
Exactly.
In Lebanon, it's everything else. And so it might be a little bit difficult to tackle Lebanon as a case where you have, or you bring in information about the pandemic and then try to apply it here. I don't know, I'm still thinking about it. I mean, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to put sticks in wheels. I don't want to tell you, this is not going to work, and then change it, or do it Lebanon or something, and then you fall in a pit somewhere because of that. If you know somebody in class who is a biology major and you can put two heads together to come up with a research question, I highly recommend that. 2 or 3 people even, and then your work will be lessened by 2/3. Okay,
I'll check the Google Docs again and I'll think about it.
Please do. Rawan, disruptive technology in the finance sector. In today's world, how is the integration of blockchain technology the financial service industry economically impacts, there is no verb in this sentence, traditional banking institutions in the US? Again, the US.
The thing is, like here, financial technology, it's like fintech, all these startups, they're like mostly in the US or Europe.
Okay, why are you?
Sorry, بس راح الصوت.
Why are you interested in this?
Okay, because I'm interested in blockchain technology. أول شيء I was searching for any financial technology, and then I thought about blockchain because هلا cryptocurrency is really يعني all these traditional banks, the brick and mortar, they are really مثلا the startups are really affecting them in this way. وفي كتير بعد يعني financial technologies بس إنه to be more specific is like you want us to be more specific so then I'll choose blockchain technology and that basically it impacts at the she banks so
Awesome. Okay. You seem to know exactly what you want to do and where to head with this. So go ahead. Feel free. Be my guest.
is there something I have to edit like the question of she?
No, but we will talk about the answer to this question in a little bit. So your answer, for example, which is the thesis statement, should be should list three impacts.
Exactly.
Economic impacts, by the way. Please notice that the difference between economical and economic. So economical means saves money. I have an economical car. It doesn't use up a lot of fuel. It's really good nowadays. I don't have to fill it up too often. An economic sector is related to the economy. So economic is related to the economy. Economical is something that saves money.
Okay. I'll check that.
I know you've noticed the difference, but I was saying, yes, tell me.
There's one more thing, me and Aya Haidar Ahmed, we've decided to collaborate. So in the research question document, the thesis statement document, we're gonna be collaborating and maybe I'm gonna edit the question a bit and the thesis statement.
Okay, Aya. Okay, great. Because I think Aya can. Aya, are you interested, or is she here? By the way, is she interested in your question? Aya, you're here. Are you interested in the question?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so would you go with that? Would you go with the question that Rawan has suggested?
Yes, it needs some manipulations, but it's good.
Awesome.
No, it's related to our major.
Perfect. Okay, great. Jana. Hi, Jana. Yeah. Anybody? Any question?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, Jana. Okay.
Hi.
I was just asking, is I said my name because my internet connection was unstable.
Professor?
Yes?
I turn off my camera because
yes,
the
sure.
voice started lagging
Yeah.
and then it was unstable.
No problem. No problem. Turn it on when you need to speak or if I speak to you directly. It's fine. Okay, so Jana, our physicist.
Okay,
Doctor,
yes.
can you read my question?
Aya? Who spoke? I'm sorry.
Aya, yes.
Oh, Aya, I already read your question. Did you amend it from the last time I read it? In the last 3 years, what advertising strategy did Apple rely on to sell its iPhones Pro Cuts to 200? Yeah.
Products.
Okay, I'm not sure. What is Pro Cuts?
I know products.
Products.
Sorry, by mistake.
Products. Okay. Awesome. Yes and no, because this sounds like something that you would write for an English 203 paper. Why? Because, first of all, why would you want to, if you're studying business administration, why do you want to go with advertising? Number one. Number two, I don't know. I mean, it's going to like you. Yes, you will be able to write a research paper about this, but is it going to be? You know, it's difficult for me to make a decision. I'm very neutral about this for some reason. Like, I don't feel. So what are the advertising strategies that Apple relied on? If you can answer this question. And just read.
I didn't research and particularly in this process, but advertising strategies are like marketing strategies. إنه كيف مثلا بيجيبوا مثلا كريستيانو رونالدو كرمال مثلا منتجاتهم to grab attention. هيك قصدي إنه هودي تعتبر من advertising strategy كرمال to grab the attention of the customers.
Okay, I tell you what, you're not going to find something very interesting about this. There are so many different cultural factors that go into advertising, especially in China. Things that might be very, very interesting to look into, things that might contribute to your understanding of how advertising works and how marketing works. How much difference is going to make in your understanding of advertising, and by understanding advertising in China, how important is it? I don't know. It might be important. You might end up moving to China and working over there, and so having written this research question would contribute effectively, would contribute a lot to your understanding of advertising and marketing. But I think if you go with the other question, you will learn a lot more. And it might be a little bit deeper to dig into, and it might be a little bit more interesting to work on. So I don't know, it's your call. You decide it with your partner. But as I said, this might be a topic that would work for a shorter kind of an essay rather than an argumentative research paper or a research project. Okay?
أنا كان قصدي مثلا why مثلا عدد معين of iPhone products بنزلوا مثلا 3000 تليفون دغري بيروحوا بسرعة. هيك كان قصدي ل advertising strategies. Why they are differential.
Okay.
But I collaborate with Rawan anyway.
Okay. Yeah. It is interesting to find out how do they work, and as someone who knows a lot about Apple,
I meant why Apple is differential. Yeah, sorry.
meant why Apple is what?
Differential.
Which means?
يعني مثل كأنها مميزة بمنتجاتها.
Why Apple is different in the sense that they can sell a lot more, or is it because I can tell you why Apple is very different and sells a lot like that. It's because Steve Jobs was somebody who is super concerned with design, and he is one of the business people in the business world who never did a feasibility study to see whether a product works or doesn't work, because he thought he knows better than the consumer on what the consumer wants. Can you imagine? I mean, if you want to understand how Apple works and how Apple products work, you have to study the life of Steve Jobs, and for that you have to read Walter Isaacson's book on Steve Jobs. One second, Vienna.
I read a book called Hit Refresh.
Yeah.
By Steve Jobs.
Okay, I need to move on so that we're not. I don't keep you too long here. Jana, are physicists nowadays too reliant on mathematical models as opposed to experimental findings? The answer would be yes or no. Yes, they are. No, they aren't. So you can answer that question in one statement with either yes or no. What you can think of, or how can you change this question? So how can you amend this question so it's not a yes or no question? It's a question.
Can I add like a specific theory that I want to talk about?
Such as?
Anything related, for example, to three fields, like for example, related to physics, math, and computer science.
That would be too much to handle, though, in one research paper.
For example, I can talk about quantum computers since they rely on both, like, you know what I mean?
Yes, but the problem is that research on quantum computers is very, very, very little and minimal, and we still have, the research you will find out there is just too theoretical and very little still. So it's going to be very, very challenging for you to write about quantum computers.
Okay.
It will. I mean, trust me. I've done some research just a few months ago, and I just could barely find anything. I mean, you can find a lot of popular articles about it and speculations of how they will be operating, what they can do in the future, etc., etc. But to find actual research that you can rely on in writing a research paper, it's going to be super challenging. So you're setting yourself up for a challenge that is very tough and difficult. Don't go down that road. Wait a bit. In a couple of years, you will be able to do that kind of work. But right now, it's still very, very fresh. And you're not going to find a lot. You're not going to find much because it's still all hush-hush, because people don't want to be exposing what they're doing, right? And research, so they're still not producing as much.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. They don't want people to steal their ideas either. So it's still very top secret. So you're not going to be able to find much. If you're thinking of the first question, so it's very simple. Based on what we have read and learned in the videos and the handout, how can you change this question to become something that is not a yes or no question? Can somebody else?
Can I put like okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Lynn?
Yeah, I was just saying why or how.
Why or how? So how are physicists nowadays too reliant? And so this makes it very argumentative, and also it makes it argumentative, debatable, and not a yes or no. So you can answer it by saying they're being too reliant by doing this, and that, and this causes this, and that. So you have more to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
String theory, a valid theory, worthy of all the investment the scientific community has put into it, given that it still lacks experimental verification. My answer is yes.
Okay.
So it is a yes or no question, and my answer would be definitely yes. I mean, it's whichever way you go, it's really weird. Right now, it's more about the quantum, right? It's more about, I don't know. It's just it's over exploding with information, physics, quantum physics. It's just crazy field to be working in nowadays. Okay, moving on. Sophie, Claudine, Yara. Who's here? Yara? No, Celine. Celine is here. Okay.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, me and Yara.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so how did the Beirut port explosion on the 4th of August 2020 affect the landscape urbanism of the city? And what are the environmental, cultural, and architectural guidelines suggested to rehabilitate the post-disaster urban landscapes? This is going to be a huge project. Can you tackle either the first part or the second part in this paper? I know that this is part of your, you said your senior study?
Yeah.
So you're going to be
finally project.
Both of them in the first part. So it's how did the explosion affect it, and how is it going to be rehabilitated? It's going to be a huge project. Huge. Like you can write a dissertation on this. Are you also collaborating on the senior project?
Yeah, but different groups.
Different.
Not together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I suggest is you work on one part, so that, for example, the one that needs more like the one that, I think the second part might be So what are the environmental, cultural, architectural guidelines suggested to rehabilitate the post-disaster urban landscapes while preserving the identity of affected areas? That would be a part that you can probably tackle and work on for the paper.
Okay. So I just removed the first part?
Just for this paper, I'm still trying to think whether you would be able to put the first part in your introduction. So maybe the first part would be answered in your, even if you remove it right now from the research question, you would still think of putting it in your introduction or background information, because the way we're going to be structuring this research paper is not like you structure an essay. It's not introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. It's introduction, background information, literature review, etc., etc. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
So keep it, but answer the...
So we keep the second part and we answer the first paper, but we don't put it in the research question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark, what is the prevalence of hypertension? Because before he's like, what is hypertension? I was like, everybody knows what hypertension is. What is the prevalence of hypertension to whom? How is it related to life-threatening coronary artery diseases in adults? Okay, so your question should be, how is hypertension related to life-threatening coronary artery diseases in adults between 40 and 80 years old in Lebanon?
Okay, but
the prevalence will be discussed, Mark, as I said before, to the other group, in your introduction and background information.
okay.
Why did you include the first part? Why do you think that you need to put this?
Yeah, okay. Because it's actually an important piece of information for my research, because there's a big number of people who are suffering from hypertension in Lebanon. So I thought maybe it's important to mention.
Yeah, of
in
course.
My thesis and my research question.
Not in your thesis, definitely in your paper, definitely in your research. So how do you mention it in your research? You mention it in the background information.
Okay, sure.
You are setting up the frame. Okay, so for now, just keep, how is hypertension related to life-threatening coronary artery diseases in adults?
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure. Emma and Karine, nowadays, I'm so tempted to just erase this. I just did. Go ahead. What are the psychological risk factors? Psychological risk factors alone is one paper. Methods for prevention is another paper. So decide which one you want. And this is the first thing. So first of all, you decide which part you want to keep and which part you will discount. So will you work on the psychological risk factors or will you work on methods of prevention? The funny thing is that you're working on psychological risk factors, which is definitely okay, yeah, related to nutrition because it's related to eating disorders. But I like how business students and nutrition students always end up writing about psychology. It's an amazing umbrella. Okay, so the first thing that I need you to do is, by the way, who's here? Emma or Karine or both of you? Karine, I know
we're both here.
Okay, great. So you choose one of the two, number one. Number two, you specify gender if you can, like male, female. And by the way, I said gender, not sex, because because there's nowadays they're not allowing us, especially with IRB, to use sex as a determining factor and differentiating between two groups. The third thing that I want you to determine is age group, because if you decide to leave it this open, you're going to be so lost, given that you're both
But isn't adolescence like considered
specified
age group, or no, we have to be more specific?
But in biology, for example, Emma, in biology, adolescents are up to the age of 18. So that is a very, very, like 12 to 18, or even adolescent. I don't know. Like, I don't know how biology classifies it, but I want you to be much more specific. Is it the group between 12 to 15? Is it the group between 15 to 18? Is it all of them? When you're talking all of them, you're going to be tackling different research, broader research. So maybe you might choose the group that is closer to you in age, given that it will give you an insider's perspective on the subject.
And I wanted to ask also about, not sure if you are going to find the research in that specific area, but I'm not sure. Like, I found some, but I don't know.
Can you repeat your question? Research in this area, you said?
I was saying about the Middle East, that I wasn't sure if we're gonna find a lot of research about this specific region, and about this specific topic, or.
Yes, you will find some research about the specific region. I would also specify a country, because it might be a little bit difficult to tackle the Middle East as one homogeneous group. The different Middle Eastern countries, you cannot say the problems that we have in Lebanon are similar to the ones that are suffered in Jordan or Saudi Arabia or North Africa.
That's it. What is
You're breaking
specific is a middle and country, and we choose as if it's too detailed.
Yeah.
You know, is it too specific or what?
Yeah. Usually students worry about, like, what do we have to, what would be left for us to write about, right? You have no idea how long your paper will be if you don't do that. So I am telling you this knowing how broad your paper will be if you don't limit it.
Okay.
So from my experience, I can tell you, you will have so much to write about. So much. Because the way we're going to be developing our arguments, you just can't just state it. So much goes into your argument to support it. So that's why I am cutting, all these corners for you and saying, "La, limit it, make it smaller," because otherwise you'll end up with with a 30-page paper or 40-page paper. You don't want this. I don't want that either. I don't want to be correcting 40-page papers per person.
Do you think choosing Lebanon would be a good choice, or maybe?
Are you both Lebanese?
Yes. I'm not, but I live in Lebanon, so.
Where are you from?
I'm a bit mixed. My father is Egyptian and my mother is Syrian and French.
Okay. Have you been living in Lebanon for a while?
Yes, since I'm a little kid, so I'm used to it.
So would you consider yourself to be maybe an authority figure on something that would be like this topic, for example, when it's related to the Lebanese? Like, do you feel like you know a lot about Lebanon and the Lebanese because you grew up here?
It lagged, so can you repeat what you said?
I said, would you consider yourself to be an expert on Lebanon and the Lebanese since you have grown up here?
Yes, I know. Like, it's like I'm Lebanese, so it's the same for me.
خلاص, like, decide on Lebanon.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Noor is not here. How is capitalism nowadays making people's lives, especially those belonging to working lower classes, insufferable? So what is wrong with this question? It doesn't specify place, doesn't specify and then, you know, so many terms to define, like people's lives insufferable, people's lives, and what particular part of their life or lives is insufferable. Okay, so she added another question. How has the corrupt political system in Lebanon affected the working and lower classes on the economic and social classes, the social levels over the past year? Economic and social levels. Okay. 1 second, let me see where. Still too broad. We need time frame. And specify whether it's economic or social. Okay. Moving on, Lynn. Is Lynn here? Yes.
Professor, I have a
yeah.
First, we were trying to look for the question and edit it on Google Docs, but it seems that someone deleted the entire table.
This is what you need to do is you go to history, see full history, and then don't restore it. So if you do you remember when did you write this? Like which day?
No. I'll try to find
look through the history. Look through the history, and then don't restore it. Don't say the restore. Just copy paste it from here because it's in the history. So if you've written it, it should be here.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you see it on my screen?
No, someone deleted it, so we can't see the question anymore.
Right now, can you see my screen? Because I'm sharing.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah.
So basically, you click on last edit.
Okay.
And then after that, you click on see all history, or it doesn't show anymore on the version over here, history. So you can, right? You can look it up here. So nothing.
Okay.
It will be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Lynn. Hi, Lynn. So,
Hi.
In April 2020, Lebanese parliament passed a law that legalizes the cultivation of cannabis for medical purposes. How will this law affect the country from social, cultural, and economic perspectives? Too broad. How does it compare to Western countries? Even more broad, because you're tackling so much, right? And plus, the problem with Lebanon is that we don't know what will happen and what won't happen given the current situation. So when we say economic, we really have no clue right now. Yani whatever you're writing about would be hypothetical.
Okay.
Right? Cultural, yani you can, I mean, it's a very interesting, if you have like a vision, like this is what will happen based on what has happened in other countries. This is what will happen based on what's currently going on, etc., etc. So your arguments might be very, very solid and everything, but it might be a little bit too much to handle unless somebody else would work with you on this.
Okay, and I wrote another one. It's a different topic.
I'm not really fond of how do social media platforms such as Instagram affect adolescents' personality development and mental health and dietary choices. Always put a comma over here. I am, I don't know. Again, this is something you would have written in high school. Or maybe something that you write in 203. In comparison to the first question, it's not as...
First option is...
I think it's better, but you need to either find a partner or limit it. 1 second, hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, moving on. Jude.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Jude. What are the types of formation of the different types of black holes and how each acts upon its existence in the galaxies?
Too broad.
Are you sure you want to do this? Number one, I mean, what is the frame? Is it, you can, like, you have to frame it. The frame has to be, and it's very theoretical, and all the research that you will find is, it's going to give you a hard time. Yani صراحة. I mean, I'm telling you, as somebody who has a minor in astronomy, this is going to give you a really hard time, given the kind of research that's available out there. I mean, we cannot really, it's more of a theoretical paper. It's going to be more of a theoretical paper.
Yeah, like there's not like an official yes or no. It's all based on like research, which research like is more, in a way, like there are different theories. So eventually I have to suggest the way that which one do I think is more real and maybe supported with scientific papers, and like, and put the other opinion and refute it with another research paper. You know what I mean? Like, for example, there's the, like a small, let's say a small type of black hole and a big type of black hole. Theories used to say that they used to merge together and become a bigger black hole. But now, like, there's a paper where it says like the small black hole, like it does not merge with the, I'm sorry, that's my cat. It does not
get sucked in. Yeah, okay, there it's, yeah.
It does not, like it's formed based, like it's very it's a bit complicated.
It's formed, yeah, continue, I'm listening to you.
And the small one is formed, they used to think that it doesn't exist. They used to think that they merge together to become a bigger black hole, but then science, like, they found out that this small black hole does actually exist.
Okay. My problem with the question, and I have to remind you here that I have a minor in astronomy, so it's something that is of interest to me. However, I need to remind you of something, which is, it might not stand the so what question. Will it stand the so what question? Meaning, how will you verify this to your audience? You're not writing to me, just me. You are writing to a broader audience. What kind of an audience are you writing for? You're not writing for a bunch of physics majors. You're writing to a little bit more general audience, because the physics people can go directly to the research itself and read about it, right? So unless you're providing me with a literature review, which might be also a little bit complex because it's very theoretical, etc., etc. Yeah, it might not stand, what I'm trying to say in short is that it might not stand the so what question, like, so what? So what? What, like, how does this affect me right now? So it's very interesting. How can you, if you are very interested in it, how can you justify it for me? How can you answer the so what question and make it more engaging as a research? Why should I care?
I think that's an issue with all the universe studies. Like, a lot of people ask me this question, like, why do you care about this stuff and why like that? But like, I don't have like a direct answer because I'm just interested. So this paper basically is for the people who are specifically interested to know.
Yeah, okay.
But I can be like more general, like at the beginning, like, we didn't know there was global warming and all this stuff if we wouldn't have gone up to space. That's just a basic idea. But like, there's no specific answer. Why should I know that black holes like actually exist? And like, it just goes from the curiosity of the people.
No, it actually is very important to us, and it does affect us. It does affect us. But it's, what I'm trying to do is think about it so that you can, and it's not like Like, why are you interested in this? I'm not asking you to tell me why are you interested in this. I'm asking you to tell me, why should I be interested in this? Why should I be interested in this? Because, so as you're thinking of your question, think, I want to ask a question that would make it interesting to others. One second, I'm admitting people. To know about this stuff, because it's important. And why is it important? Because of 1, 2, and 3.
So I have to
think, do a little bit more
relate it
reading.
to something that
Do a little bit more reading and try to find a frame for it. So when I'm
relate to something that like
physics, something that is very important in physics, something that is very important in quantum physics, or maybe astronomical studies in general, or maybe and given the fact that we're like, for example,
can you write about like there is studies that have been made in quantum physics that is trying to explain how the Big Bang occurred. So I can switch to quantum
I don't want you to switch. What I want you to do is give it a little bit more thought, so that you, when you're asking a question, you're thinking of something that might be a little bit more that would have your paper find a broader audience, or find a broader audience for your paper.
Okay.
It's very, we can have this conversation. So if you message me on WhatsApp, we can always have this conversation of, like, let's go back and forth and try to find a question that
okay.
That is
I'll message you and see when you're free, and I can do some more research about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Okay. All right. Aisha. Hi, Aisha. Hi. Okay, so child marriage has always been an issue influencing societies. What are the social and economical قلنا بوفروا مصاري. Economic effects of child marriage in the Arab world. Everybody's leaving. Oh, it's 7:07. Okay. So what are the social and economic effects of child marriage in the Arab world? Every single country differs from one to the other. If you okay, the first part is not part of your question. This is the question right here, so I'm going to delete it. Let's see what I had written. Okay. What are either the social or the economic effects of child marriage on who? On, so I want you to add the on in the Arab world, okay? Okay. Luay, what are the economic effects of the Syrian refugee crisis? What are the economic effects the Syrian refugee crisis has had on Lebanon? Okay. Besides the messy, okay, he's not here even. Okay. What are the economic effects that the Syrian refugee crisis has had on Lebanon? Okay, I've read a few papers about this, but sure. Is it good to start your own business or buy into a franchise? شو حلو هالسؤال. Very, very engaging. It's like, yes or no. It's good to start your own business or buy into a franchise. So, no. You said we're gonna work with Rawan and Muhammad. Nowadays, the rate of smokers in the world has grown exponentially. We know that. We don't need an introduction. What is the risk for smokers to get affected by lung cancer? Definitely no, because it doesn't specify group, it doesn't specify place, it doesn't specify anything, and it is such a redundant question, medical question. I don't know. I mean, seriously, I don't want to start yelling at people. He's not here. Okay, good. But like, seriously, did you read this? Did you listen to my videos? Did we actually look at the videos and the handout that I gave you? Okay. Carl and Alisar, how can agronomy? What is agronomy?
Agronomy is the field of agriculture in which you produce crops, like agronomic crops, which are corn, grains.
I should have guessed by reading the rest of the sentence. I remember now that question. How can, through the use of genetically modified organisms, help ensuring adequate grain supplies for an approximate 9 billion humans by 2050? But that is such a huge, huge, huge project to tackle. Are you sure you want to take on this? This is huge.
Like maybe we can narrow it down into something a bit more specific, but like a specific crop, let's say, or maybe the US or.
Okay, I will tell you what. Continue with this until you find yourself tackling too much, and then you can go back and narrow your research question.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Hamza, you're still here. Okay. What is the minimum number of 2 switches needed to transform a graph to another having the same graphic sequence? Hamza, I'm very sorry to tell you that ما فهمت ولا كلمة. لا, actually I understood what, to, is, to, the, minimum. Okay.
Just
What? Say what? Okay, well, how many 2 switches are needed to transform a graph to another having the same graphic sequence? How is this an argumentative research question?
This is not an argumentative research question. That's why I waited my turn. But it cannot be answered with one sentence. No, there's research about the topic.
Okay. How can you not answer it in one sentence?
No,
How
the
can
thing is,
such so that it's not answered in one sentence?
No, the thing is, we don't know how to get the minimum number. No, actually, we know how to get we don't know how to get the minimum number of switches. But we know that it's possible. So my research would tackle, would I be able to find the way or not?
Okay, will computer scientists be able to find the number of switches needed? Yes or no? I'm trying to think of something that would be a little bit more engaging to an audience that is not a computer science audience. So
this is the thing, if I'm not going to work on something that technical in computer science, maybe I would like find something more I don't know, multidisciplinary or something like that.
Okay.
To have an argument.
Is there some top topic in computer science that is related to something outside of computer science that you might be interested in? So let's say computer science and
maybe cognitive science. It mixes psychology and computer science.
Cognitive science, yes, cognitive science. So what would be something that would be an intersection between the two that you might decide to work on. So decide on the topic, the intersection of the topic, something in computer science and cognitive science, and think of a question. Message me that question via WhatsApp ASAP so I can okay it for you, and then we can take it from there.
So I can't work on this problem.
Can you give me an answer to this research question that might be
No,
a topic and 3 controlling ideas?
I might not find an answer, but I might find something, you know, to get an advancement in the field.
Okay. Okay. Let's debate this on WhatsApp.
Okay, yeah.
Before I let everyone go, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. Before I let everyone go, I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, the answer to your research question is going to be your thesis statement. But please, please, please make sure that you go over the recordings, make sure that you go over the handouts so that you know how to structure this correctly. You mess this up right now, you're gonna mess your entire paper, and there is no coming back from this when you start your outline. I don't want people flunking the research paper just because you know you're you just messed up a research question. Okay, so just to give you a clear idea, the answer to the research question is your thesis statement. Plus, your thesis statement should have a topic and 3 controlling ideas. So a topic would be, you know, whatever you're writing about, like GMOs, for example, and the 3 controlling ideas would be the 3 ways or the 3 approaches that the world should implement in order to ensure enough or sufficient supply of crops for the world by 2050, right? So what are these 3 things? So this would make it topic plus 3 controlling ideas. It's as simple as that, yet it is much more complicated than you think. Please, please,
Professor?
make sure you go over, yes, I'll be with you in a second, Carl. So make sure you go over the videos, make sure you go over the handouts before you write your thesis statement. If you have any doubts, you can always message me and ask me. Put it in your Google Doc so I can go back and check it. But don't just put it and forget it, like what happened this week or last week with the research question. Don't just like put it there and forget about it. It's a continuous recursive process of working and reworking the question and the thesis statement. Mark, you had a question?
Yes, Professor, would you mind taking a look at my thesis statement, because I already wrote one?
Okay, because I need to cut this recording short and this meeting short, I will do that and comment immediately on this on the Google Doc. And if you have other questions, you can always message to the group or privately on WhatsApp. Does that sound
thank you.
okay?
This last question.
Yes.
Do you mind changing the topic before drowning in it more?
Yes, I don't mind. You can do that. One last thing I want to tell you. If
Professor?
you have a chance to collaborate, please collaborate, especially because you're doing this online. This course is online. You're already home. You're collaborating. We're working virtually. It's much easier to collaborate because we're working virtually. And you will cut your work in half if you're working with 1 other person, and you will cut your work in 2/3 if you're working with 2 other people. So do think seriously about collaborating. Go check the handout that says, so everybody is willing to collaborate except for like 2 or 3 people in the class. So 23 people are willing to collaborate. وين رحتوا? Why haven't you collaborated? Plus, it brings the level of your work up. Seriously, brings it up. Yes, somebody had a question. Was it Rawan?
Yes, just concerning what you said earlier about economics, يعني هل فكرة economics. So, and would it be better if I start the question and what are the economic outcomes that impact the rest of يعني كمل الquestion نفس الشيء بس إنه I start with what are the economic outcomes and with that make it clear.
It is already somehow clear يعني ما كتير كانت it wasn't that complex
okay.
to understand. No, my point was that people make a mistake when they think of economic versus economical. Economic is related to economics.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions?
Thank you.
Other questions? No other questions? Okay, great. I will end our meeting at this, and I will see you next week. Please make sure that over the weekend your research question and thesis statement are settled. If you can collaborate, do that. And I will speak to you again next Thursday. Have a nice evening, everyone. Bye.